Somebody told me my first job, try not to ever compare your career to anyone else's.
Well, that's good.
Which is hard.
That's a hard one.
I've never forgotten it, and it's an highly competitive field that we're in, and there's you can get if you let yourself, sure, I wish I could have played that, but if you eat yourself up like that, you destroy something that's very important. So I think it was a profound piece of advice, because it's meant to me that I'm very subjective about what I choose, and I own it. I own my choices.
You do.
Good and bad. We're the result of all our choices, and we don't know. We don't have any template. It's just what feels right.
And what felt right about The Wife?
Well, it's answering, because first of all, I thought it was fascinating. I'd never been asked to play a character like that. But also, I had a lot of questions, and I knew that I had to answer those questions in order to play her. And the big one was, why didn't she leave him? Because I thought initially that all the women would jump up and say, "Oh, just leave him," but it was so much more complex than that.
Yes.
And I had to figure that out, and in order to, play her without any kind of judgment and all. And it was that journey, but I went into not knowing if I'd be able to figure it out. I've been part of 2 films that took 14 years to make. The first one was Albert Nobbs, and then the second one was The Wife. That was written 14 going on 15 years.
And why did it take so long?
Called The Wife.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was a difficult subject and it's a real thing that it was actually hard to find actors who wanted to be in a movie called The Wife. But I think, and it's 2 women writers, the novelist and the screenwriter, and starring a woman or co-starring a woman editor, a costume designer. So. But that to me, that was amazing serendipitous timing. But it is a fact that it took 14 years to make. No one wanted to. And most of the money, if not all the money, came from Europe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Also, your character in that film, the importance of her voice, is so powerful.
Yeah, it's a very resonant story. You know what I think is important, and I thought a lot about it in the context of The Wife and my mom, because my mom was a very interesting, very smart. She never graduated from high school. She fell in love with my dad when she was 18, and she, at the end of her life, said to me, "I feel like I've accomplished nothing." And what I think about that a lot, because I think we have our children and all that, and the nurturing, natural thing that we do as women, and then we have the need for personal fulfillment. We need to feed our souls and our hearts, and I think that's what our work does. So you can do both, and I think both of them are tremendously, or not. But I think to feed your soul, and this is why I think we're so blessed to do what we do, because basically we tell stories, and as we're telling these stories, we're feeding and refueling ourselves. And I think you have to do that for yourself.
It's actually made me want to have kids.
There's so many wonderful independent films made, and my definition of an independent film is a movie that almost doesn't get made because it needs a crazy. But I think the long term is to get stories that have a demographic that can then be viable, to make more stories.
Right. Thank you
because
for articulating what I was trying to say.
That is the bottom line.
Yes.
And it's up to us to tell just great stories that have fascinating characters
that move people
and help them get developed and help them get made, so that there is an audience for it.
Yes.
And that will lead to more possibilities.
That's the empathy
and
machine.
then promoting it as well. I mean, that's what we're doing, you know? You
Yeah.
have to carry the thing on your back half the time, so it's like... Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Kidman.
This is Lady Gaga. I'm Katherine Hahn.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching
Thanks for watching
The Hollywood Reporter Roundtables
on YouTube.